My name's David Peake. I'm the Product Manager for Application Express. How many of you are here on Sunday sessions? So I was actually rather despondent with Joel Corman for stealing half of my content, but that's all right. I'll be showing my take on what it takes, why low code is important, and building an application. So, standard safe harbor. What I'm actually presenting today is production product, but I might touch on some of the stuff, so I need to incorporate that. So, one of the key things to the concepts, if you like, with low code is what does it really mean? It's really about doing as little coding as possible to improve the productivity. So, if a developer's spending a lot of time writing a lot of code, then that's harder to maintain. They've got to do a lot more testing, a lot more debugging, etc. Whereby if they can build applications with very little code, then it means that they can actually present that to their end users and they know they're going to be getting consistent results. When you move further down the axis here on the control line, then that's when you're starting to incorporate more functionality and what have you to meet very specific requirements. And it's going to mean that you're not going to be delivering your applications as quickly. So, low code, from my perspective, is not just another buzzword. There's a number of buzzwords that I'll be covering today, but really it means a low barrier of entry. So it's very quick and easy for people to get into utilizing the tool and start delivering applications. It's very simple to deploy, so once they've developed the application, they can get it out to their end users very easily. It's also very much about high productivity. So being able to do things like drag and drop, being able to have all the feature functions that you need, not all of them I should say, but the majority of feature functions that you need. Things like consistency, high fidelity. From my perspective, the most important aspect of this is that the people building the applications are concentrating on the business requirements rather than doing all the plumbing and everything else that's required to make a fully functional application. And one of the biggest objectives of utilizing these sort of tools is to very quickly and easily be able to improve poor business processes. So, you know, how many people still use Excel in their organizations? So everyone who hasn't put up their hand, they're just being lazy, I understand. It's Tuesday already. You know, if I asked the same question on Thursday morning, nobody would put up their hand. But every organization, including Oracle, still does a lot of their business with things like Excel. Why? Because they're so easy. You know, how much skill does it take to put together a spreadsheet? And the answer is basically none. But having a spreadsheet is better than passing around a bit of paper. So if you're at the open mic night and you saw that the tools that they were using there, which was a big white piece of paper and writing down people's names, then that was okay for that particular purpose. But if we were doing open mic nights every night, then you wouldn't want the same people doing talks. You'd actually try and change it a little and have less speakers doing it, more new people doing it. And so you'd actually want to try and put some controls around it. But the key thing one of the key things we see with low code is often with people think of low code, they think, okay, that's great, providing the tool that they're using can meet all their requirements. And as soon as it doesn't, you fall off the cliff and you have to do a huge amount of coding. And so I think it's important that the tool that you're utilizing can also be extended out by IT professionals. So one of the things that I greatly believe in is that IT has not been doing a good job for their organizations. In general, they concentrate on the large applications and the majority of their budget goes to meeting those requirements for the large mission-critical applications. But the rest of the organization is basically left to fend for themselves because of the fact IT just doesn't have the budget to meet all their requirements. And so what do these departments do? Is they create what we call a shadow IT. So they go and use whatever tools they can get their hands on. They start building out their own applications. Some of the advantages of that is they know exactly what their business problem is, and so they don't have to work with an IT person to determine the requirements. They know the requirements. They go out and they get their requirements solved, so they're doing it at the source. And in general, they're doing it much quicker than they would if they had to wait in queue for IT to finally come and meet their requirements. And so that's the good part of it, is they're actually meeting their business requirements. The bad part of that is they don't care about standards. They don't care about doing it correctly. They just care about the results. They also generally don't integrate well with other things. I need this problem solved. I need this data. I'll go and get this data and I'll build this application. Now, if someone else happens to need that data, then it's like, that's your problem, not my problem. And so it's very poor integration. And also what you end up having is 5 copies of the customers in 5 different departments, which is never good because of the fact that Department A can't talk to Department B, etc. And then you get down to the ugly, where the applications are often developed by an intern or someone they've gone and hired a contractor and he happens to know language X. And because he happens to know language X, that's what the application is going to be built in. No one else in the organisation may know how to build with that particular tool. But at the end of the day, that's what the department's going to use because they need to solve their specific requirements. The other biggest problem we have is departments start building these applications, everything's running great, and then it starts to get more popular, so it gets bigger. The requirements start coming in. Well, the original person who built that application is often long gone, or alternatively, it's someone within the organisation that did it, as a part-time job. And so it becomes too hard for them. And so they think that it's quite, it's a good thing to just say, here you go, IT, we've built this app. Now this needs to be a bigger app, so it's all your problem. And IT's left with, we don't know what it is. We don't know what it is necessarily even, we don't know how to develop in the tool that you've used. We don't know anything about the requirements that you used. You haven't used any standards, etc. And so the IT departments are in an unenviable position of trying to support something that they had no input on, that is not like anything else they've been working with, but they're still expected to actually pick it up and just manage it and support it and expand it to meet the expanded requirements. One of the other key things is often within these departments we get what we call citizen developers. Now, often IT folks consider citizen developers the bane of their existence because of the fact they go off and do all that stuff I was just talking about in shadow IT. But in fact, the citizen developers should be your new best friends. And the reason for that is quite simple. The more people you've got doing development, the less pressure it is on you within IT to meet everybody's requirements. So more hands on deck makes it easier for everyone. If you empower your employees to go and start building applications for themselves, then they're at the source, as I was saying earlier, so they know the requirements. So one of the hardest things for an IT department is to go into a department and say, okay, what do you want? And they're like, well, we need something that sort of does this, etc. Whereas citizen developers are living it day to day, then they can actually come in and they know what they're trying to achieve and they've already got the requirements. So they're not struggling with trying to understand the requirements and understand what it is that will really help the business. Another key thing is it's going to boost productivity because of the fact if you're using good tools where they can develop secure, stable applications very quickly, then you're going to get good return on investment utilizing these citizen developers to help you build applications. There was another 5 people, they just left. And lastly, it decentralizes the application development. So, again, pushing the development out to where the problems are and having them solved within the departments. The other key thing is it fosters collaboration. I think one of the problems that the IT departments face is it's very much an us and them. And a lot of that comes down to budget, etc., that you've only got a certain amount of resources to meet all these different requirements. Whereas using citizen developers, now you're embracing them and you're working with them rather than fighting them saying, oh no, you can't go and build your shadow IT. Oh no, you can't use this tool. Oh no, you can't do this, you can't do that. Instead, you're working with them and letting them have part ownership of what they're doing and working together as a team so that they're happier, you're happier because of the fact at the end of the day you're going to end up with something that you can support when it gets bigger, etc. You're going to end up with better requirements because of the fact the people who need the solution are actually helping you build the solution. And you know, generally it will be a turning point between us and them to what can we achieve together. So also one of the other things is you can free up the IT professionals so that they can concentrate on the harder to do parts, the higher control parts that need to be done as part of some applications. So there's a number of different tools out there. Obviously I've got Application Express because that's the tool I'm going to be using today. There's systems like OutSystems, Mendix, Salesforce, Appian, K2, etc. I actually went to Forrester's Magic Quadrant, and that's where I got all these names from. And so there's a number of different tools that are out there and available on the market. And to be honest with you, you know, it's good to actually try and work with your citizen developers and with your departments and see which ones of these work best in your particular environment. So let's look at Application Express. From our perspective, we can't be pigeonholed very easily. We've got a number of what we call no-code capabilities where we're purely using wizards and you know, developers aren't using any code. Then we have low-code components where we require a little SQL snippet, or we want you to put in things like an authorization and things like that. So you need to know a little bit of SQL, etc., to be able to implement that. And we go all the way to the far end of the spectrum where you've got high control, where you can utilize plugins or develop your own plugins. You can use extensive PL SQL. You know, various things that you can do to take a low-code application and extend it out still within the framework to meet the specific requirements that you have. So enough talking, and I've already wasted 15 minutes and I've only got 60. So it's about time I got into doing demonstration. So what I'm going to do is, oops, where did my, okay. Hang on a minute, something's gone funny here. Okay, good. That's better, thank you, I've got my thing back. I did forget to, oh here it is here. So, course of a normal development. Somebody sends a spreadsheet. It's like, great, we're going to take that spreadsheet, we're going to make it into an application. So any of you who've seen me do presentations before have seen this part of the demonstration 1,000 times. I'm just going to copy it all, and then I'm going to go over into Application Express. I'm going to create a new application and copy in my spreadsheet. And within a couple of clicks, give it a table name, we'll call it projects. Then it's bringing in dates, varchars, all that great stuff. And I've created the application. So this is ultimate low code. How much coding did I do for this? Absolutely zero. Okay, so it's really no code, this part. And now I have an application, and I can run this application, put in my credentials. I said put in my credentials. Thank you. And here's my application. So what's in this application? I've got projects, I've got tasks, I've got some dates, etc. And it's like, yeah, that's much better than the spreadsheet. But reality is, this is pretty limited and it's very flat. So what I really want to do is I want to take the information and start to think about how would I build this properly. And so at this point, I go to my napkin design. And so I purposely haven't done this like an ERP. So I've got my arrows going the wrong way, etc. So I've got team members are in projects have milestones, projects also have tasks, milestones may have tasks, team members are also in tasks, I've got these to-dos and links, etc. under tasks. So I've thought about the sort of data that I want for my application, and I've got this sort of napkin design that I've sketched out, and it sort of gives me a framework of, okay, now I want to actually start building some tables that I can put the data in according to these. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into quicksequel.oracle.com, and I'm just going to launch this and sign in, and I can start putting these in. So I had team members. Under team members, I need username, I need profile, I need, what else do we need in there? And I can just keep building this out. So, there's a lot more I can do within QuickSQL to get a lot further along to what I need. Let me just put in, I actually messed myself up here. That's all right. I'll correct it in a minute. If I go into syntax and examples, then I can look at all the sort of different table directives. So let me just expand this out. So, for example, I can put /audit if I want audit columns. I can put /insert. I can do rest. All these sorts of things that I can incorporate into my design. If I have a look, when I get to the column directives, I can do things like uniques, I can do check constraints, make things upper, not null, etc. One of the most useful ones, though, is the examples. So I can just look through the different examples and go, oh, okay, if I put this in, then I can do tags, I can do views, and I can start seeing that the sort of things that I need in many of these examples here. So this one here is pretty close to what I want, and I can just keep typing in and building up my tables. And the way that I build up different tables is, if I do the indent, for example, I put projects, then I can put my project name, description. Under that I had tasks. Under tasks I have oops, I forgot a few things here. I need things like a budget, so I'll put that in. And as I'm typing these in, you can see that it's adding these into here. I'll make sure that that one's a number, so I'll just put in number. And under tasks, I'm going to put in task name would be useful. Due date, I suppose. Is it due date? No, it'll be start date on that one. Back up in milestones, I need a due date. So, I can go up and down and keep putting things in. As soon as I go to the next line, you'll see this one's come out as due of type date. It's like, oh, hang on, that's not quite what I want. Put an underscore in there. Still recognizes it as a date, but now it's calling my column correctly. And I can start building up this data model very quickly and easily. Now, I'm not going to spend the next 20 minutes typing, so I cheat. And I've actually gone ahead and created this model called projects, napkin design. And in here, I've used things like my insert, I've put the not nulls on. You'll see that I've even got file names, blobs, MIME types, all sorts of different columns in there that I need. I've already got a projects table, so I'm actually going to change the name of this to be projects 2. And I'm inserting 20 of those. I'm saying that my project lead references my team member table. I've got status with a check constraint of either assigned, in progress or completed. I've got milestones. I've got milestones before. And then under milestones, I've got tasks. Under tasks, I've got links. Under tasks, I've also got the to-dos. So I've taken that napkin design and I've just implemented various columns that I need and put various attributes on them, so that, for example, this one here, I can only have yes and no. And then over here, you'll see that I've got my various tables coming out. Now, one of the things I need to do is I want to go into settings, and I'm going to put a prefix of LC. And I'm actually going to do my onDelete as set null. I actually don't like 12C identity columns. I prefer goods, so I'm going to change that. I definitely want my order columns. I'm only going to run this once. I'm very confident, so I'm going to leave my drops off. I can always come back and switch that back on. And then I want to Apex enable these, and as soon as I save these changes, then you'll see that it's changing these table names here to LC underscore. In fact, I could have left that as project because of the LC. So let me go back and take that 2 back off. And then I can take this script here, and I'm just going to copy it. And I can take it over to my workspace where I was playing just before, go into SQL Workshop, go into SQL Scripts. I said go into SQL Scripts, thank you. And I can create a new script, and I'm going to call this one napkin design. And I'm just going to run this. So it didn't take me long to write 219 statements. I thought that was a pretty quick way to do it. Now, as I said, I did cheat a little because I was, before the session I came in and did up, all the different columns with all the different attributes, etc. But to be honest with you, that took me about 20 minutes, half an hour to get them all in. And all of those have been successful. And I'm just going to go back into my SQL Workshop here, go to my object browser, and I'll just check. Here's all my tables. So I've got links, I've got milestones, etc. And I'm just going to go and look at the data in here. And you'll see that these tables have data in them. Now, if I have a look at the text in the description, for example, then it's not very meaningful. But the key aspect of this is I'm trying to build an application that I can then see particular records in, and that's why I threw this data in. As soon as I'm ready to go to my test environment, all I need to do is go back into my quick SQL here, and I can simply remove these insert statements so it doesn't insert the dummy data. And then I've got a data model that's ready to go into my test environment and actually have my end users go and start putting in appropriate data rather than just the sample data that I've built so far. So I've got tables sitting there waiting to go, and they've got data in them. So the next thing I'm going to do is just go into the app builder, go to create, and this time I'm going to use Blueprint. So with Blueprint, it's actually part of, it's what we're calling an extension, and it's only available on apex.oracle.com. And it's a way for us to deliver functionality quicker than we can in a release. So, we're on about a yearly release cycle, and we wanted to get this out in front of people as quickly as we could to get feedback, to see whether people liked it, don't like it, ways we could improve it, etc. So this functionality we are looking to build into 5.2. Will it be exactly the same? The answer is no. Will it be similar? And the answer is yes. The way that we do particular things may change, in fact definitely will change, but the concept is going to be similar to what you're seeing today. One of the key things for us is to incorporate this sort of functionality to allow you to extend out an existing application. So at the moment, you can only use this functionality when you're creating a new application. How many new applications have people built in the last, say, 6 months? 2? 3? Right? It's not something you do all the time. How many times have you gone into an existing application and had to enhance it with new functionality? And the answer is, dozens of times. And so that's one of the most important things from my perspective, at least, is that this same sort of functionality is available to existing applications. Now, there will be limitations. I can tell you now. If it's not running the universal theme, it just won't work. Okay? That's one of my strong beliefs is, unless you're using the universal theme or a theme that is universal theme compliant, insofar as you've built a custom theme that can do the things that universal theme can, then you're not going to be able to take advantage of this. But where I see the huge benefit is I build an application. The one, for example, I built with the spreadsheet, right? At the moment, that application has no ACL. It has no feedback. It has no email functionality. It has none of these great features that, if I scroll down a little, which I can add when I'm creating a new application. So what I'd like to do is take that projects application that I started with and add in some of these things to it. And that's the sort of way we're looking to bend this in 5.2. Yes, you'll still be able to do it when you're creating an application, but to me the greater good is being able to take an existing application that started off as something like a spreadsheet and now has become more important. And so you need to add some of these key features in, I should say, and do it without having to go through copious amounts of coding. And to me, that is really, core to low code, is as your requirements change, the tool needs to be flexible to allow you to do a lot without having to do extensive coding. So I've created a number of tables. It's time for me to go and start building stuff out. So I'll start with a dashboard. And with our dashboard, we don't need to specify anything. It'll actually just utilize sample data if we need. So I'm going to be lazy and just leave that one there as is. If I can get my cursor to move. Hello. Okay, this is going to be challenging. There we go. Just going to make my page a little smaller. Then I'm going to add a report for my team members. So I'm going to use table or view, and here's my team members. Include the form, add the page. Did I say I was running this on apex.oracle.com with 30,000 other tenants? So if you're currently working on apex.oracle.com, stop. I'm going to go and add in, say, an interactive grid for milestones. Oops, I forgot. Oh, that's all right. I'll just keep going. So again, table of view. If I wanted to, I could use a SQL query. But again, I don't want to do a lot of typing. So I'll just add that one in. I forgot projects. Would be useful if I did something for projects. So for projects, I'll just do a report and form for now. So let me add projects in, table of view, add in my projects. Of course, I want a form. I can do things like drill downs, and in fact, in the new version that we're working on at the moment, I can also do foreign key relationships, but not in the version that's on apex.oracle.com at the moment. And that to me is really nice because of the fact it takes even lower code. In fact, I'm a sucker for punishment. I'm going to see if I can get my VPN to work, because I much prefer the newer version. So far, so good. I have a connection. Woo! Let me go in here. And And because of the fact I've got all this stuff in script, I can just build these tables in whatever workspace I need. So I'll go into one of the ones I've got in here. Seriously? Or maybe not. What? Oh, that's because I'm in 5.2. Oops, wrong one. Try this one. That's better. So easy peasy, just go and run that same script that I had just before. Should still be in my clipboard, in fact. Oh, no, 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 I didn't want to upload, I want to create. Call it napkin. Paste it in. And run. Same 219. See, not only can I do this in less than 60 minutes because I talked up front, but I can start again and still beat the 60-minute deadline. How many minutes have I got left? 27? Pfft, easy. What am I doing in here? I already ran this thing. Okay, let me quickly go and check that I've got my objects that I need. And there they are, that's good. Check one of these, check I've got some data in it. Yep, looks good. Okay. So I'm going to start building my application again. So it looks slightly different to the one we've already got out there. Instead of it having down the bottom up here, I changed the color. I like slate. It's my favorite. Choose my new icon. Somebody give me a color. I heard green. We'll go with green. Are you a fan of Insum? Do you work for Insum? Just checking. I'm going to go with purple then. Just in case, you know. We can't show too much favoritism. We are friends of Insum, but you can take it too far, just saying. And this is a projects thing. I like this one. It'll do. So set that as my icon. I said set that as my icon, thank you. Save that. Okay, let's put in napkin. I can add pages as I was before. Oh my, what are you doing? Go. No, thank you. You'll see that we've added additional pages in here. So we've got things like timelines. We've got a new one here called filter report. We've actually put these alphabetically because we ended up with too many. So I'm going to do a cards, because I like cards, for my team members. So go and pick my LC team members. So my card title is going to be my full name. Description is going to be my profile. And additional text can be my email. Add that in. Okay. Oh, I forgot my navigation one. Let me go and throw that in. Dashboard, I should say. Again, I'll just throw that in. Let's make this slightly bigger. While I'm here, actually, I want my dashboard up above that one, so I'll drop it there. Add another page, and this time I'm going to do a report on project. And I want projects, which is right there. And of course I want to include the form. And I'll add that one in. In fact, oh, I forgot something. In here, I've now got this thing called lookup columns. And with the lookup columns, I can go and specify the project lead, thank you, coming off the LC team members, and I want to display their full name. Okay, so I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to add my page. Again, I'll just use, yeah, I'll use a report. I like reports. And this one's going to be tasks. In fact, no, I won't do that. I'll use a master detail. And this is going to be tasks. And then I need to pick off my task table. Oh, get down. There. Thank you. And I want to display the name. And the secondary display column can be the description. And then I want the links table. I want the to-dos table. And I can keep adding others, but that's good as we are. Add that in. Now, I also want a calendar on my task, so I've got all the start dates and everything. Sorry about that to those listening to the recording, but okay, so with this one, again, I'm going to pick off my tasks and I'm going to display my name, start date, end date, and I don't want to show time. And I can just keep adding additional pages as I need to. Now, with these features, if you want to know more about the features, we've got extensive help on what all of the different features are and what they're utilized for. You can simply check all of them, and so that will give you access control. It'll give you configuration options, etc. So this is going to add a lot more functionality to an application as opposed to that one I created with the spreadsheet. Now I've got things like an email framework. I've got user profiles, etc., where my end users can add in information. I've got feedback. In fact, I actually don't want user profile. And the reason being, I've got a team members page. So it's a bit funky to use that. Okay. So the other thing I've got down here is my table prefix. So this is the tables that it's going to create for some of these features like access control. And I want my prefix to be LC, the same as my other tables. So I'll just change that. The other thing we have in here is user interface defaults. And what I can do in here is I can set up list of values. Like you were seeing me doing for the lookups on projects, I can do that on the other tables as well. But I'm running a bit low on time, so I'm just going to go back. And I'm just going to create my application. So at this point, whoa. That's better. Didn't disappear immediately. Of course, if it had disappeared immediately, I would have blamed Mark Z sitting in the back of the room there, because this is his part of the baby that he's responsible for, so it would have been all his fault, and he would have done it purposely while sitting there. Luckily, I know he doesn't have his laptop, so no, he can't sabotage me that badly. But he could have stolen Jason's laptop and done it. So, yeah. It would not surprise me to see him do such a thing. It's all good. I've got other environments I could go to. So now what it's done is created not only the application based on the pages I wanted, but it's also created an administration page and a number of different pages underneath that. So is this a completed application? And the answer is no. But instead of it being maybe 20, 30%, now we're getting much higher percentages. Out of the box, we're getting 70, 80% of the application, close to what we want it to be. And how much coding did I do to do this? How much? Exactly, 0. So at this stage, I'm in a no-code environment. This is where I start to now get into, oh, look at that. I spelt team members really well. Well, time for a bit of low-code remediation here. So I need to go and modify my list. So I go in here, I go into the list, I find my desktop navigation. Oh, not the bar, the menu. Okay, go to the menu. and I find team members, and they become team minions, because team minions 3, because a new movie's coming out soon, I think. I just like it. And I'll apply that. Okay, or not. I don't know why that happened. Okay, so now I'll run it again. It's like, oh, that's all right. Let me go and edit this list, because it created it in multiple places. So that's a different list. And if I zoom in on the list, I can edit that component. And here's my team members again. And I'll make this one here as well. Team minions 3. And so now I am in low code. I've had to do a bit of typing, but now I'm improving what it is. If I go into here, then, okay, again, the text isn't what's important, but how it looks. It's getting to give me a good look and feel of what it's going to look like. How many of these things did I specify? 20? Yep, I've got 20 of them. Okay. If I click on one of these, I said if I click. If I click correctly on one of these, great demonstration. I thought I included the form. Maybe I didn't. Okay. If in doubt, let's have a quick look at what's happening in behind on these. First thing I'm going to do is just look at the pages I've got. Oh, I didn't specify a form. So it's like, oh, dang, that was a bit sad. So I've got 2 choices. I can go and add a form, pretty quick and easy. Or if I really wanted to, if I'd missed quite a number of things, then I can actually go back into my create here, back into blueprint, and I can cheat. I can go and look at the blueprint, or sorry, wrong one. I can go and load blueprint, and I can load up the one I just did, which was napkin design. I can go into team members, edit, and I can, because it's a cards region, that's why. So what I should have done is create a form page and then a drill down link. And so I could have done it a different way, but it's all good. Instead, I'm just going to go back to where I was. I wonder why there was no form under there. And here's my napkin application. And I'm just going to create a page. Now, the way that this is done in 5.1, we're looking to improve in 5.2 to be much more similar to what we were doing in the Create App Wizard. So I just want to create a form on a table. You can tell this is totally unscripted, so it's just like real life development. Maintain team members, that's fine. Page group, nah, we're fine. Branch here on submit. We want to go back to there. Team members. Do we want it in breadcrumbs? Sure, we'll have some breadcrumbs in here. The parent entry should be my team members. Oh, I better update that one too. I've got a breadcrumb I need to update. I was too quick. No, actually I don't. No, I'm fine. There'll be a slight pause. And let me go and find my team members table. You'll notice there's a lot more LC tables now because of the fact I use that same alias for the tables that it created as part of the features that I wanted. And I could have used any alias. I just decided in my infinite wisdom or otherwise that I would use the same alias for the administration tables as I had for my base tables. So now I've got that in place, that's all good. And I can go straight to page 30 and just create a link. So now I am actually doing some coding work, and I need to go into the attributes, and I need to do a link in here. I need to, well, I should be able to link from a card region. It is? Oh, of course it is. There's my card link. So at this point, I've dove off a little from the low code to now harder code, and Patrick's going to tell me exactly what I need to type in. Or not. I just have to put in, I want to go to page 30, so I've just got to put in, so the way that I would do this, because of the fact I like to cheat, so let me just say okay on that, is I'd actually just go and create another page with a link and then see what the, oh, in fact, hang on, let's see if our help helps us here. Yeah, that's great. We should do something about the help for cards. Just saying. Did I tell you this was unscripted? So, you know, if I go in and have a look, sorry, let me just run the application again. I've got projects here. With my projects, one of the key things you'll notice is this project lead is a name, not an ID. And yet if I have a look at the table, so if I go back into the application builder, bring up the SQL workshop, and have a look at my LC tables, LC, and I have a look at projects, then I've got this project lead, which is a number column. Yet in my application, it's done the lookup for me, and if I actually go and have a look at the SQL in here, if I go and have a look at the SQL in here, then you will see how we've done that. It's just a inner select statement. So it's just going out and picking out the full name from my table called team members and returning utilizing the ID. So a very efficient way to do that. If I go back to my runtime application and I actually click on one of these, then you'll notice for project lead, it's already a select list, right? And it's just a standard list of values that we're using to pull in the team member names rather than the IDs. So it's already doing that for me as well. And that's one of the, I really like that this new functionality and the one we're working on behind the scenes. And that's why I chose to use that one. You know, these columns here, well, you know what? They shouldn't be editable. So I need to go in and do a little bit of work. Let me go and edit this page. And I'm just going to create a subregion here. So let me create a subregion. And I'm going to call this one Audit Details. And to be honest with you, instead of the standard template, I like collapsible. And the default should be collapsed, not expanded. So I'll tweak that. And then I'm going to grab these 4 columns. And I'm just going to drag them. Drop them in there. I'm going to go over here. Instead of them being text fields, I want them all display only. And I'm done. Let's run this again. It's a modal page. Let's go back over here and run this again. So let me pick one. Don't care which one. And I'll do some work on this so that I don't have the borders and everything else. But now I'm actually doing a little bit of code to be able to get a fully fledged application. But from my perspective, this sort of application is within the realm of a citizen developer. But this application, I'm not a citizen developer. At least I think I'm not a citizen developer. Some of my team may disagree. I consider myself an IT semi-professional. So, you know, I could, you know, using the same functionality, even one of our professionals up in the back row there could build an application. they can build an application using this functionality a lot quicker than they can if they go through and create one page at a time, if they go through and decide, oh, I want to add feedback. So they've got to create a page, they've got to create an icon, they've got to do all that work. So even for IT professionals, low-code platforms allow you to get stable, reliable, and performant applications out in front of a user community much quicker, so you can then start saying, okay, this is my first cut. What's the biggest thing that's missing? Oh, you haven't done this. Okay, let's go and add that in. Oh, we need to improve this. Sure, we need these charts, we need this X, we need this Y. But to go from 0 to something that's this far developed in, what was it, 20 minutes, is a really good starting point for you to start encouraging your citizen developers to do this for themselves, encouraging your IT folks to do this for themselves so that they can work with citizen developers, work just with whoever they've got to work with. But it really is important that at the end of the day, what we're building are proper applications, okay? They're not Mickey Mouse applications. If I really wanted higher stuff here, like if I wanted the cars to work, I'd just say, Patrick, go and fix this for me, please. So I'd call in an IT professional rather than IT semi-professional. But it's all, you know, it's the code you're generating is not cut down code. Okay, that's one of the important things when you're using Application Express, is this application can work with 20 records or 2 million records. It's all just coming out of the Oracle database. So performance isn't an issue. Security, we've already got ACL control in there. So I can define administrators, readers, contributors. If I want to expand that out and have LDAP groups that I'm using, then I can do that. Would a citizen developer be doing that? No, an IT professional would be extending it to do that. But Application Express allows you that sort of control when you need to. But just because we talk about low code, just because we talk about citizen developers, doesn't mean that these sort of functionalities aren't also for IT professionals. Because if you can go from 0 to here 5 times quicker than you currently can, then you become more of a superstar. If you can train your citizen developers to start utilizing this, then you can help them to become superstars and they love you even more. So, you know, that's really, from my perspective, one of the key things to take away from today is if you don't like shadow IT, then the only way to combat that is to work with the departments, work with the citizen developers, give them tools that help them rather than just constrain them, and give them tools where they can go and build beautiful looking applications, but can also be well supported. The last thing in the world you want to do is push them away and have them build things in tools that you can never support. So, any questions? Yes, sir.
When is 5.2 going to be released?
It will be released, yes. Next question. So 5.2 will be released within the next 12 months. How about that? Because we're on about a 12-month release cycle. So I could tell you the exact date, but I'd be lying because Mark won't keep to it. He'll make me a liar on purpose, even if he slips one day. What I can tell you is our most current release is 5.1.1. On apex.oracle.com, you'll notice it's 5.1.2. And sometime in the very, very near future, in fact, I've got to talk to you after this session, we will be pushing out 5.1.2. So there is a new patch set coming. Does that help? Yes. Okay. Yes, sir, in the green shirt. That was your question.
Same exact question, yes. So you show us functionality, I want to use it. This is an Oracle Open World.
Sir, I put it to you. Did I not start in my, back over here? This is in apex.oracle.com. Which means what, sir? It's available now. Is all the functionality available now? No. But this is really our test bed for this stuff. And that's where we came up with, oh, it'd be really good to be able to do lookups. So we're putting in lookups. So we are looking to put out what we're calling version 3 of this in the near time frame. Are we going to be doing it before America's birthday? Probably not. But we're going to be doing it, we're not looking to do it in December either. So, in the near time frame, we'll be pushing out a new version of this, which will have the functionality that I was just showing you. It's close to ready. Is there problems with this? Yes. But we see this, one of the things that's important for us is you give us feedback. What do you like? What don't you like? Are there additional features we don't have that you think should be in there? Are there features that we have in there that you think are silly? And then go and ask your citizen developer if they think it's silly. It's important. So give us feedback, because this is a new way for us to do development where we're pushing things out earlier than a release. And it works for us to prove it out, but it only really works for us to prove it out if you give us feedback. So your job, and I need to get your name so I can see whether you give us any feedback.
Because honestly, I'm a new user.
Okay.
I want to use the latest one. If I'm training someone, I want to train them on what's there, not necessarily yesteryears.
Yep.
I train them on most current. And then here's a question for you. I see that you move over. If I'm training citizen users, what's the most important thing to have them capture? Their napkin, simple SQL that you had developed over here that you have in your clipboard, and then you can add in some all of these.
So one of the things, very good question. So one of the things you noticed is I went to my saved models, right? Because if you have a look, I've got a number of columns in here. And I've got all sorts of things like not nulls and checks and references and all that sort of thing. All I did was when I finished, I just clicked save. And it pushed it in and made it into a saved model. And you can have any number one of these saved models. And all you do is go to wrong URL, quicksql.oracle.com. From my perspective, one of the most important things is, as an IT professional, sit down with your citizen developers and teach them how to build referential tables, okay? If you have a very shaky foundation, then how stable is your house going to be that you build on top of that, right? If you don't have foreign key constraints, then you can't take advantage of things like the lookups, right? We just won't show them in our wizards. Sure, you can manually go in and put them in and everything else, and they still work. How performant will they be? Well, they will work fine until such time as I go and delete one of the parents. In other words, I delete one of my team members, and it's still sitting on my projects table or my task table because of the fact I don't have a referential integrity constraint. So I think one of the key things that you can do is work with them on thinking about, okay, I've got this sort of design, and they don't even need, the beautiful thing I think about QuickSQL, they don't need to know what foreign keys are, right? All they need to do is indent. So I indented projects, milestones under projects. I indented tasks under milestones. I indented links under tasks, etc. And simply the notion of doing these indents, if I go and look at my script, oh, please, get out of there. I didn't click that. Ugh. If I go and look at my script, you'll see that projects has this project lead with a foreign key constraint referencing team members, because I said /references, right? If I go down to milestones, you'll see project ID and a foreign key constraint already put in there for me. So they don't even need to really know what a foreign key constraint is. It's good to teach them, because if you empower them by telling them about what this is and why it's important, then they will look at their existing access databases and things like that, and when they come to redo them, I really should be doing this properly. And by treating them as a trusted partner rather than a second-class citizen, then they'll be more inclined to work with you and come and ask you. It's like, I think this is right. Can you look at it? And that's the best validation that you're going to have a good working relationship with them, that they're coming to you and asking you questions. And we're all but out of time. But I'll take one last question, if anyone's got it. Yes, sir.
You're going to deploy this application.
Yes?
You're going to deliver the script.
Yep.
And the export of the application. The extra tables that were created in Blueprint.
So, okay, so let me tell you this. What I would do, as I said before, is I'd take off the insert, right? So I don't want to insert all the sample data. I'd then take this script. That script would be exactly the same script, but without all the insert statements. Then, when I go over to my application, so here's my application. If I go and have a look at my application, and I have a look in supporting objects, you'll see that I have all these installation scripts. This is actually installing all of those tables. So here's LC errors, okay? LC preferences, LC users. This is already part of my application export, is to create all of those tables. And that's a beautiful thing. So now all I need to do is literally go into my application here, go export, boom. So I've got two scripts. I've got the script from QuickSQL, and I've got the script as the export from here. It will create all my tables for me. I'm ready to go. So thank you very much for your time, and enjoy the rest of your conference.